The Heilige Bach was the Reuven Krukke. He had a Chavrisa, a very big Talmud Chacham, a very rich person, a millionaire in those days. He learned with him every day. One day, a distraught Yid walks into the Bach and he cries to the Bach that the landowner is hiring the lease on his tavern, on his kretschmer, and he won't be able to provide for his family. And he's asking the Bach for help. And the Bach tells him, gave him a bracha, but then he says, I want you to speak to the person that I learn with every single day. He has connections to the landowner. He can probably help you. The Yid runs with his wife to the Bach's Chavrisa, and he cries to him and he says, my wife and I aren't sleeping for days. We need your help. And he says, don't worry. I'll take care of it. But first, I have to go to Leipzig. I have to go to the market. I'll be back in a couple of days. And when I'm back, I'll take care of your problem. And the Yid starts crying to him and he says, my wife and I haven't slept for a week. Please do me a favor, postpone your trip and go take care of this first. And he says, young man, I have to go to Leipzig. Relax, Hashem will be with you. We'll take care of it when I come back. The Yoshe goes to Leipzig, comes back a couple of days later, meets the landowner, takes care of the problem, and he calls the Yid and he says, it's all taken care of. Especially, I thank you for giving me the opportunity since you said that the Bach sent you. A couple of years, many years later, the Yid passes on and goes to the next world. And a Yid that gave a lot of tzedukah, learned a lot of Torah. Gan Eden is your schar. As he's walking to Gan Eden, he's being led to Gan Eden, and he's starting to feel the great warmth of Gan Eden. And he's starting to see what's going on in Gan Eden. Someone stands by the door and says, stop, you can't go in yet. Although you did great things in your life, you're going to have to wait the 3-4 days that you had that Yid wait for helping him. This is a dream that the Bach repeats, that the Yid came to him in a dream. And the Yid says to the Bach, the pain that I had waiting, seeing the Gan Eden, but not being able to step in, was unbearable. It's hard for us to understand the pain and suffering recipients go through, although all of you have done the unheard of. But one thing you do is you wake up at 4:30 the morning of transplant to go do this gewaltige act of chesed. There's a gentleman in the room, Ira Ginsburg. Ira is a dentist. He's a husband to Miriam, a father of 3 children, and a grandfather of 13. Instead of me explaining the suffering of a kidney recipient, I'd like to invite Ira onto stage to share it with you so you understand firsthand what this is all about. Ira Ginsburg.
Thank you, Mendy. Good evening and Shavua Tov. As I look around this room, the first thought that comes to mind is that I have never been in a room before with so many people who have only one kidney. What an amazing and wonderful group you are. I am Ira Ginsburg, a very, very, very grateful kidney recipient, thanks to the unbelievable efforts of Renewal. Before I speak, I must tell you that I am not, by any means, an accomplished speaker. I am a husband, father, Zaidi, and Balkore. I am a periodontist, a shul president, and a pretty decent piano player. But a public speaker, not even close. So I beg your indulgence in advance. But when David Shishi called me and asked me to speak this evening to represent the overwhelmingly grateful kidney recipients, how could I possibly say no? David assured me that there would be ample boxes of tissues for me. I want to recognize my wonderful wife, Miriam, who was my partner in life over 50 years. She has given me the strength to endure and persevere through this most challenging time. And she is truly my Eishes Chayil. Yesterday was her birthday. So happy birthday, Miriam. How do you like this party that I've thrown for you? There is a saying that I have turned to for comfort throughout this most difficult deal. When Hashem pushes you to the edge of difficulty, trust Him fully, because two things can happen. Either He will catch you when you fall, or He will teach you to fly. I was born and raised in Borough Park. That's in Brooklyn for all of you who do not know that. We moved to South Florida 48 years ago, and although we would on occasion return to Borough Park for visits, our lives were in Florida. It's hard for me to believe that Renewal's headquarters is only 2 blocks from where I grew up, and I must have walked past the office many hundreds of times. When I went into kidney failure over 6 years ago, I began searching for a donor, but it is a long, tedious, and often unsuccessful quest. Miriam first heard about Renewal from a friend of my daughter who lives in New Jersey. I went to my rabbi in Hollywood, Florida, and to find out about Renewal. And he told me, unbelievably, that a representative of Renewal was coming to my shul that very afternoon to meet him. The Renewal visitor had some time between the arrival of his flight to Fort Lauderdale and the appointment at the shul. So it was arranged that he would come to my home to meet us. That representative was Rabbi Josh Sturm. He sat with us, explaining what Renewal was all about. And by the time he left my home, we had the beginnings of a wonderful friendship. In fact, we fell in love with him and wanted to adopt him. His warmth, concern, and kindness gave us hope for the first time in a very long time. Shortly after that first meeting, a function was held on Motzei Shabbos in our shul for anyone interested in learning about the incredible work of Renewal and to provide swabbing for anyone who might consider donating a kidney. The response was enormous, over 100 people swabbed, and I was filled with pride that so many members and non-members attended. For most people there, it was their first introduction to Renewal, and it was extremely well received. I wanted to cover the cost of the evening. Lovely refreshments were served, and as well as the testing, but Renewal absolutely refused to accept any money. I ask you, who ever heard of an organization that would not accept donations? Their response was that anyone in need of a kidney, regardless of their financial situation, was welcome in Renewal. A healthy kidney, the most precious gift to a person in kidney failure, is priceless and available to all. Finances not a consideration. Of course, A.J. Gindey, another wonderful and dedicated worker for Renewal, mentioned how delighted they would be to accept a donation after I received a kidney, but absolutely not before. I have come to regard Renewal as another beloved member of my family. The esteemed founder and tireless head of Renewal is my newfound brother, Mendy Reiner. There are no words to describe how devoted this man is. He is the driving force behind Renewal, and I, as well as my family, will be forever grateful to him. I received my kidney on September 14, 2020, at the height of COVID. Several potential donors were identified as good matches, but it never came to fruition. I will never forget Mendy's words to me as I was becoming more and more disheartened. He said, "Ira, I will make it happen." His words gave me strength as I was forced to go on dialysis. I suffered through dialysis for over 18 months, 3 times a week for almost 5 hours each time. There were days that I was ready to quit, but I knew Mendy was working for me, and that kept me going. Mendy, I truly believe that you and everyone involved in Renewal are malachim, and I sincerely, totally, and completely believe that I all of you my newfound life. However, if not for the donors, for the most giving and generous people in the world, there would be no Renewal, and certainly there would be no Ira Ginsburg. When I tell people about the donors of Renewal, many are shocked. To donate an organ to a complete stranger or even to a loved one is an extraordinary gift. An associate of mine said to me, "You Jewish people are really something. Who does that? What motivates a healthy individual to undergo elective surgery and donate a vital organ to another?" My response was, "We cherish life." To all of you who are donors, I am sure that I speak for all recipients everywhere when I say thank you. I would like to acknowledge my daughter, Dr. Susan Petak, my son-in-law, Jonathan, my granddaughter, Lily, who are here with me this evening. All of my children have been supportive of Miriam and me throughout this ordeal, and I appreciate the strength they have given me. Before Renewal entered my life, I had to arrange for dialysis in Jerusalem and every other city we visited. Now, I am able to travel frequently to Eretz Yisrael and the New York area to visit my children and grandchildren. We are anxiously looking forward to the marriage of our oldest grandchild this coming Hanukkah. I am going to conclude with several thoughts. Firstly, I must thank Hashem for all his gifts and for bringing renewal into my life. Secondly, I must thank Renewal for allowing me the privilege of sharing my story with all of you. And certainly, I embrace all of the donors who have performed the ultimate mitzvah. You have instilled new life into those of us who would not survive without your generosity. May Hashem continue to bless us all. Thank you. Right.
1 minute, Ira, where are you going? I need you to stay here a little. Come on. In November of 2019, in Baltimore, Elisa Peterson, who has a friend who was a kidney donor, Elisa and her husband Fred decided to go out to an event, an awareness event. And Fred ended up testing to be a kidney donor. Fred tested, and a couple of weeks later, Fred got the phone call, "You're a match." Now, it was in 2019 when Fred started the process. Unfortunately, COVID hit and the transplant was delayed. But eventually, it happened in NYU. Fred had to quarantine 2 weeks before the transplant, not like we quarantined. Real quarantine. I'd like to invite Fred onto the stage. I'd just like to add one more thing to this very interesting story. Fred's wife, Lisa, gave up being with Fred for Rosh Hashanah because he was donating a kidney right before Rosh Hashanah. Lisa went on to donate a kidney herself. Not without any hiccups. Fred got COVID right before she donated, and she did it all on her own. If Ira wants to say a couple of words.
Now that we have finally met, I must personally and publicly thank you. You had to come to New York during the height of COVID, quarantine, and then undergo surgery to give me, a complete stranger, your kidney. I will never be able to thank you enough or tell you how much you have given me. You are a great man, as are all of you who sacrificed of yourselves to help those like me who are struggling with kidney failure. Ladies and gentlemen, within the past year, Fred's wife, Elisa, also donated a kidney. They are an extraordinary couple. For my entire life, I was an only child. Now, I am thrilled and honored to have two brothers, Mendy and Fred. My entire family feels so blessed and appreciative of your gift of life, and we welcome the Peterson family into the Ginsburg family. To all of the donors, I hope I have, in some small way, made you aware of how special you are and how much your gift of life has changed the lives of so many recipients. We cherish each and every one of you. As for me, all I can say is, Fred, I love you. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
I'm asking Fred if he wants to say anything. He said, well, that kidney has said enough. I'm going to ask, unfortunately, the stage, as I said before, wasn't worked out properly. I'm going to ask Fred and you to go down to the bottom of the stage and for a picture and with the families. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being part of this. This is what it's all about. Thank you, and I get to vach.